I'm a scientist, and I work at a research center that studies the causes and consequences of climate change. And the evidence is clear. Climate change is real, people are causing it, and we need to make hard choices in order to avoid serious consequences. And as a scientist in the climate change space, I often encounter or hear about people who are climate change deniers. People who push back and say, climate change is not real, or we're not causing it if it is real. And some of the arguments that I've heard, just a few of them, are, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm not feeling the effects of it. It can't possibly be true. You really don't have the data for it. You're misinterpreting your data. Last year was really cold, so couldn't possibly be going on. And my favorite, it's a hoax. You guys just want to make money. And so when I meet people like that or interact with people like that, I try and respond with facts as best I can. But I have a lot of frustration for people who are denying clear evidence that is in front of them. 15 years ago, I was sitting in the office of a cardiologist who had just diagnosed me with a bicuspid aortic valve, a heart defect. And he said to me, it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when you're going to need open heart surgery. And this was shocking. In all of my time, no doctor had ever said I had a heart condition. And here suddenly I had a very serious one. And, sorry, I'm a little nervous. And, yeah. And so he said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to need open heart surgery. And I was shocked. I had always been an athlete. I was a runner. I had just finished a marathon, and at mile 25, I passed 2 Marines. This couldn't possibly be true. But I started seeing a cardiologist on a yearly basis and having my heart valve checked. And in the first 5 years of having these tests, my heart valve did not change, did not deteriorate, it did not tighten. And I was put in a mild category. And the categories for this is mild, moderate, and severe. So I was in mild. And my cardiologist even said to me, I'm not really sure why your heart valve isn't changing, but it will. And in my head I went, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. The following year, I went in to see him after my test, and he said, your heart valve has deteriorated significantly. You're now in the serious category. You'll be in open heart surgery within a year. How can this be? What happened to moderate? How did it go right to severe? And I said, I feel fine. I did, I feel fine. I was still running. I don't feel any effects. Are you sure this data's right? And so the following year, I was tested again, and he sheepishly looked at me and he said, sometimes these tests are wrong. And it turns out that test was not right. You are in the slightly moderate category. You've just moved into the moderate category. You're not on your way to heart surgery yet. And I was like, I knew it. You're wrong. The data was wrong. A few years later, I'm sitting in his office, and he said, it's time. You're in the severe category, and you need to go for open heart surgery. But I feel fine. I'm still running. I'm not feeling any effects. You were wrong last time. And he said, no, I'm not wrong this time. So he sent me off to the last test that I have to get before I head to the surgeons. And it's a stress test. And they're looking to see if I fail. And so they put you on a treadmill, and they force you to do some exercise, and they monitor your blood pressure, and they monitor your heart rate. And as you exercise, they're looking for your heart rate to go up, and if you fail, it's because your heart rate went down, and that's what they're looking for. So I wasn't 2 minutes into a brisk walk on this treadmill when the technician stopped me, and he said, you failed. What? I'm not even out of breath. Crank it up, I'll start running. I said, my heart rate, or my blood pressure went down. He goes, no, your heart rate went up, but your blood pressure stayed the same. So for those of you who are scientists in the audience who do peer-reviewed literature, I went all review or two on him. That is hardly conclusive. You did not test me long enough. I need to go higher. You need to wait until you either see my blood pressure go up or go down. And he looked at me and he said, no. He said, you need to stop doing this. If you keep doing this, your valve will get to the point that we can no longer fix your heart. And it was a shock when he said that. I'm a scientist, and I'm also a science denier. It was really hard to come to grips with a really difficult choice. Really not much of a choice. I had to go for heart surgery, and I didn't want to. So on February 26th of 2020, yes, that 2020, I went into the hospital and had heart surgery. And on February 29th, 2020, they kicked me out of that hospital pretty quickly because COVID was coming. And my husband picked me up, and we picked up burritos, and we ate burritos at the beach on Surf Drive. So now, when I meet people who question climate change and push back on the evidence, I present facts, but given this experience and how comfortable it is to be in denial about hard choices, I respond with more empathy towards their position.